all those who are participating in these elections. I can say that this is good for our country. It's a semblance of democracy. But I also have concerns in light of what you want to argue as whether or not we have a true political dispensation in terms of what we see today. We may realize that we may actually be functioning under a one-party system or a no-party system at all. I will substantiate what I mean by that. Because when you look at what is happening, especially when so many members of the opposition or particular members even within the ruling party find themselves as independent candidates, then one asks the question, that perhaps is what is itching as far as the political dispensation in this country is concerned.
Are they benefiting from rights guaranteed and given to them by the Constitution of the Republic?
Absolutely. Article 72, Sub-Article 4 creates that, that ground for them. It says that it's a right for any individual to belong to a political party. But the question is, how about these individuals who are, quote-unquote, having issues with frenzies or fears that they are now being stopped from, participating as independent candidates?
So the Constitution allows for independent candidates. It also allows for party candidates. Where is the misnomer?
There wouldn't be a misnomer. Perhaps the misnomer would be found in these other legislations. Talk about the Parliament Elections, for example, Act. Talk about the Political Parties Organization Act. Talk about the Electoral Election Commission Act in terms of vote. But the Constitution is very clear. Article 72, Sub-Article 4 creates that freedom of a person to belong to a party. And if these other legislations are not in consonant with the grand norm, then they are null and void to the extent of that inconsistency.
So in future, because the situation as it is, it allows for both. In future, do you think this should never be the case? Because again, if you look at, and I know you follow these things, in the United States, there are party candidates and they are also independent. So there's no way we can get rid of independence, however much it creates a nuisance, political nuisance, if you may, for political parties.
Absolutely. My brother, Samson, consider democracy in a calabash.
Yes.
And this calabash begins to crack. And this wonderful juice called democracy begins to vanish. It will not vanish. It will simply flow in another person's hands. So we when we begin to benchmark in terms of this political dispensation. Kenya, right near our corner, has actually made dispensations in terms of this. They actually agree that independence should actually stand as independence. However, they have provisions, and these are the provisions we want to make in terms of arguments. These are the conditions that have to be employed within these other legislation. They should have those amenities or those conditions that would, quote-unquote, give some kind of soft landing for these people who have lost within the so-called primaries. Look at South Africa, 2020 constitutional petition. They had an issue in terms of independence, and the constitution was interpreted to say individuals could not be barred in terms of standing as independents. So yes, the fact that these independents are there, they are there because there is a problem. Okay. Perhaps we don't have substantive provision within these party structures that are able to address these amenities. Okay. In other words, the voice of the people becomes the voice of God. Vox populi, vox Dei.
So finally, if I may, I now understand you, that political parties wanting to wish away independence, they're dreaming and somebody needs to wake them up.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They are dreaming because other than the fact that they are dreaming, there is also this political ideology, which my brother Samson need to contextualize within the debate we're having tonight. Because of what we believe in terms of having a political dispensation. The question, my brother Samson, do we have even political plurality in this country in terms of where people can actually belong to a party and they can subscribe to a party and the party can actually win for them? Or are we still operating under what they call individual merit? You just had an issue, my brother, the Honorable Samuju. Is he being followed by those crowds because he belongs to PFF or because he's an individual who has excelled at his game?
Okay. Emmanuel Jombo is the spokesperson of the NRM. Maro, thank you so much for having you. In a world where even God allows people to go to hell if they choose, why do you have a problem with independence when the Constitution that was ushered in by the NRM in 1995 guarantees anyone who wants to be independent to be independent?